All right, let's get this briefing started. The date is February 12th, 2026. And I have to say, looking at the stack of reports on the desk today, we are staring directly at a convergence point.
I think that's the right word for it.
It really feels like we've been talking about the future of finance for a decade, and then suddenly, we woke up this morning and realized we're in it.
Yeah.
It's here.
It is here. But I'm not sure everyone realizes exactly where here is. Because from where I sit, looking at the forensics of this trend, we aren't standing in some kind of technological utopia.
No.
We're standing on a trap door.
See, this is why we make a good team, even if you are a bit of a buzzkill sometimes. I look at this landscape, this convergence of high finance, blockchain tech, real-world assets, and I just see efficiency.
You see the slick user interface.
I do. I see the friction of the old world just melting away. I see Wall Street finally waking up and realizing that, carrying around heavy bars of metal or dealing with clunky paper deeds is the Stone Age. I see the democratization of access. But you look at the exact same technology, the exact same advancements, and you see a cage.
I see a cage because I read the fine print. And today, we are going to read that fine print together. We are opening the forensic file on what is, it's arguably the biggest macro trend of the last 5 years.
No question.
We are talking about the tokenization of real-world assets, or RWA, as the marketing teams just love to call it.
RWA. It's the acronym that ate the financial world. And it's not just fringe crypto startups anymore, is it? We aren't talking about some anonymous developer in a basement coding a DAO.
No, this is the big leagues. We are talking about the titans.
We have to start with the hook here, the thing that really kicked this whole thing into high gear a few years back. The BlackRock mandate.
The Larry Fink declaration.
Exactly. The man who, for all intents and purposes, runs the financial world. He didn't just whisper this in a board meeting. He went on national television and declared, effectively, a new operating system for the entire global economy.
He did, and the words he used were so specific.
I want to quote this precisely because the words matter so much. He said, "The next generation for markets, the next generation for securities, will be the tokenization of every asset."
Let's just pause on that syntax for a second. Every asset. He didn't say some assets. He didn't say stocks or bonds or intellectual property.
Yeah.
He said every asset.
Which means your house, your car, and most critically for the file we are opening today, your gold, your silver.
And when the CEO of the world's largest asset manager speaks, a man managing $10 trillion markets.
Move.
Governments listen.
And banks build the infrastructure. That quote wasn't a prediction. It was an instruction. It was a command. And now, in 2026, we are seeing the result of that command.
And this is where the skeptic in me, or the tech enthusiast in me says, finally. Because, let's be honest, trading physical gold is a pain. It really is.
It's friction. It's total friction. It's heavy. You have to store it somewhere. You have to worry about someone breaking into your house. The spreads are high when you go to sell it. If BlackRock wants to take that gold, put it in a military-grade vault, and give me a digital token that represents it. A token I can zip across the world in a millisecond, trade 247, maybe even use as collateral in some DeFi protocol to get a yield. Why is that bad?
Okay.
That sounds like an upgrade. That sounds like moving from a horse and buggy to a Tesla.
It sounds like an upgrade. It looks like an upgrade. The interface is beautiful. The speed is, it's addictive. But that is exactly how a Trojan horse works.
A Trojan horse.
You don't wheel a threat up to the gates. You wheel up a gift.
Okay, we're going straight to the Trojan horse metaphor. You really think this is a trick?
I don't think it's a trick in the sense that the gold isn't really there. I think it's a strategic maneuver to change the fundamental nature of ownership itself. And that is the mission statement of this deep dive today. We need to dismantle the marketing narrative. The narrative is all about efficiency, it's modernization. But the forensic reality is that this is about control.
So the central thesis we're testing is?
Does digitizing a bearer asset, like a physical silver coin, does it destroy its core value?
Meaning, by turning it into code, do you lose the very thing that made it valuable in the first place, even if the price of silver goes up?
Precisely. We are going to look at privacy. We're going to look at counterparty risk.
Yeah.
And we're going to look at what I call the digital panopticon.
The digital panopticon.
Because when you trade that physical weight for digital weightlessness, you're giving up a lot more than just the hassle of storage. You are giving up autonomy.
All right, let's unpack this. I really want to play the role of the modern investor here. The person who is listening to this and thinking, look, I use my phone for everything. I don't want to bury gold in my backyard like a pirate.
Chuckle softly.
I want exposure to the asset price, and I want it to be liquid. I want to be able to sell my silver at 2 am on a Sunday if I need cash. Physical metal doesn't let me do that.
And that is a valid desire. It's completely understandable. And it is exactly the desire loop that Wall Street is exploiting.
The desire loop.
You have to understand the psychology of the trap before you can understand the mechanism of the trap.
Okay, walk me through that. What is the desire loop?
Well, it starts with pain. You just mentioned it yourself. Physical assets are painful in a modern sense. They represent friction in a frictionless world.
Yeah.
If you have 1,000 ounces of silver, that is heavy. It takes up space. If you want to sell it, you have to physically take it to a dealer, get it assayed, negotiate a price, hope they have the cash on hand. It feels slow.
It feels analog.
It feels analog in a digital world. It feels like 19th century technology.
And we are used to 21st century speed. I mean, I get annoyed if a web page takes 2 seconds to load. I am certainly not going to drive across town to sell a coin.
Right. But there's another desire at play here. A deeper, more primal desire. The desire for safety. The desire to have wealth outside of the system. I mean, why do people buy precious metals in the first place?
To get away from the banks, from inflation.
They don't buy them because they're convenient. They buy them because they don't trust the banks. They don't trust the printing press. They want something real, something that doesn't just vanish if the power goes out.
So you have these two conflicting desires then. I want to be safe from the system, but at the same time, I want the convenience of the system.
Exactly. It's a paradox. A real cognitive dissonance for the modern investor. And Wall Street, being the genius marketing issue that it is, has stepped right into that gap to bridge it.
And their solution is the token.
Their solution is to say, hey, we know you're worried about inflation. We get it. We know you want hard assets, but don't worry about all the heavy lifting. We'll hold the metal for you. You just hold this nice, clean, shiny token.
So they're merging two very powerful narratives.
They are merging the buzz of crypto, the fear of missing out on the future of technology, with the ancient security of gold.
It's FOMO meets fear of collapse. That's a potent cocktail.
It is. They're creating anxiety about being left behind. If you aren't holding digital gold, you're a dinosaur. You're holding a relic. You're holding a boomer rock.
Right, but if you hold the token, you're a sophisticated 2026 investor. You're on the cutting edge.
You're part of the future. And that brings us right back to the visual metaphor you mentioned earlier, the Trojan horse.
Oh, okay.
We have to really look at that myth. The Greeks did not conquer Troy by bashing down the walls. The walls were too high.
They were impenetrable.
The hard money community, the people who stack silver and gold, they have high walls. They are deeply suspicious of bankers. They're suspicious of the Fed. You cannot force them to bring their wealth back into the banking system.
So you have to trick them into bringing it in voluntarily.
You have to make them want to bring it in. Imagine that massive, polished wooden horse. It's beautiful. It has the BlackRock logo branded on the side, maybe a little certified on blockchain stamp. It represents the future. It represents progress. It is wheeled up to the gates of Troy.
And the people inside the gates, the hard money guys, they say, look, they're finally respecting us. They're bringing our asset class into the 21st century. This is institutional adoption.
So this is going to send the price to the moon.
Exactly. This is a gift. Now silver will go to $1,000 an ounce because it's so easy for everyone to buy.
But what is inside the belly of the horse?
In the myth, it's soldiers.
In our reality, it is digital tokens. But standing next to those tokens, in the shadows of the horse's belly, are the silhouettes of bankers and regulators and tax authorities.
And once you bring that horse inside your walls, once you swap your physical metal for that digital token,
the trapdoor opens. And what pours out isn't efficiency, it's control. It is a trick to financialize the one thing the elites did not have their hands on.
That's a heavy statement. Financialize the one thing they didn't control. Because if I own physical gold, Wall Street doesn't get a fee.
They get zero fees, they get zero data, they get zero control. Physical gold and silver are the anti-Wall Street assets.
They're dead capital on a bank's balance sheet.
They're dead capital to the banking system because they don't generate yield for the bank. They don't create leverage. Tokenization is the process of dragging those assets back onto the Wall Street balance sheet so they can be tracked, taxed, and used as collateral for their games.
Okay, I hear you on the high-level strategy angle. It makes perfect sense that they want those assets back in the fold. But let's get into the mechanics of it.
Let's do it.
Because the skeptic in me is still saying, okay, but if I buy a silver token, I own the silver, right? Like legally, I've read the prospectus. It says allocated storage. It says one-to-one backing. It's not fake silver. It's just represented digitally.
Right.
If I have a deed to a house, I own the house. I don't need to carry the house around in my pocket, so why is this any different?
That is the most common objection.
Yeah.
And it is the most important one to dismantle. It brings us to the core distinction in this entire briefing.
Okay.
We need to dissect the difference between a bearer asset and a liability.
Break that down, because to most people, an asset is an asset.
A bearer asset is something where ownership is determined solely by possession. He who holds it owns it. If you have a $20 bill in your pocket, you own that purchasing power.
You don't need to ask permission to spend it.
You don't need to call the Federal Reserve for approval. If you have a silver coin in your hand, you own the silver. If the bank crashes, the silver is still silver. If the internet goes dark, the silver is still silver. There is no counterparty.
Okay. No one else has to perform a duty for that asset to have value. It is self-contained.
It is self-contained.
Correct.
Now let's look at the token. And I want to use an analogy that came up in our research, which I think is just brilliant. The valet ticket.
The Valet Ticket. I love this one. Okay, set the scene for me.
You buy a Lamborghini, a V12, roaring beast of a machine. That is the physical asset. That is your silver bar. It has utility, it has value, it is tangible.
I'm liking this analogy already. I can see it.
You drive that Lamborghini to a high-end restaurant. You pull up to the front, you get out, and you hand the keys to the valet.
Okay.
The valet takes your car and drives it into a secure underground garage that you cannot see. And what does he hand you back in return?
A claim check. A little piece of paper with number on it.
Little piece of paper. Right. Now, in this scenario, that piece of paper is the token. Now tell me, can you drive the piece of paper?
No, of course not.
Does the piece of paper have a V12 engine?
No, it's just paper.
Exactly. The paper is not the car. The paper is a claim on the car. And here is where it gets incredibly dangerous.
Okay.
The paper only has value if 3 specific conditions are met. 1, the valet company must be honest. They can't have stolen your car or, worse, leased it out to someone else while you were eating dinner.
Which, in the financial world, is called rehypothecation.
Exactly. 2, the valet company must be competent. They can't have crashed your car into a pillar in the garage. And 3, and this is the most important one, the valet company must be willing and able to give you the car back when you present the ticket.
And that third one is the real kicker. Because in a normal economy, on a sunny day, the valet system works perfectly fine. You give the ticket, you get the car, no problem.
But do we buy gold and silver for the sunny days? Do we buy apocalypse insurance for the times when the system is working perfectly?
No, we buy them as insurance for when things break, for the hurricane.
Exactly. And in a financial hurricane, a systemic collapse, a banking crisis, a geopolitical freeze, that valet booth is going to be closed. Or the valet company has gone bankrupt. Or the government has seized the garage.
And you're just standing there.
You are standing on the sidewalk in the rain, holding a worthless piece of paper. You do not own the car. You own a liability. You own a promise from someone who can no longer keep it.
So when I buy tokenized silver, I'm not buying silver, I'm buying a digital valet ticket.
Precisely. You are buying a digital receipt for an asset that someone else, custodian controls. You have to understand the architecture of these RWA tokens. To put silver on the blockchain, the physical silver has to sit in a vault somewhere.
It has to be centralized.
It has to be centralized. You cannot decentralize the physical storage of a centralized asset. That's a logical impossibility.
So there has to be a vault. Someone like BlackRock, or a partner bank, or a massive security firm like Brinks.
Yes, and that entity is the counterparty. You have taken an asset silver that was designed specifically over thousands of years to have zero counterparty risk, and you have wrapped it in a technology that reintroduces massive counterparty risk.
It's incredibly ironic, isn't it? The whole point of crypto, or at least the original cypherpunk vision, was don't trust, verify. It was about removing the middlemen.
Yes.
But RWA tokenization literally inserts a massive, powerful middleman right back into the heart of the equation.
It inserts the ultimate middleman, the custodian.
Yeah.
And usually that custodian is a heavily regulated entity subject to the whims of the jurisdiction they are in.
So if the U.S. government says lock the doors, the custodian locks the doors.
The custodian locks the doors. They don't care about your token or your claim. Their license to operate is more important than your silver.
I'm visualizing this now. It's like a split screen in my head. On the left, you have this glowing, futuristic, blue silver token on a smartphone screen. It looks cool. It looks valuable. It's easy. But on the right, you have the solid bar, the physical thing. And the token on the left is just, It's a ghost.
It's a ghost with a red X over it if things go wrong.
Yeah.
And that's the trap. People confuse the map for the territory. They confuse the receipt for the goods.
But wait, playing the skeptic again. There are laws, right? Bailment laws. I've heard this argument. If it's allocated, that means it's my property, not the bank's property. Even in bankruptcy, they can't take it.
In theory, yes.
Yeah.
On paper, that is correct. In a court of law, 5 years after the collapse, you might be able to prove that and get pennies on the dollar.
But that's not the point.
The point is that possession is 9/10 of the law. When the doors are locked and the digital system is down, your legal title is just a piece of paper, or in this case, a line of code. The person who holds the physical metal is the one who survives the crisis.
And the person holding the legal claim is the one waiting in line.
They're waiting in line for a settlement that might never come. They're a creditor.
That is a chilling thought. The idea that you are buying insurance, but the insurance policy itself is dependent on the very system you're trying to insure against.
That is the definition of a false sense of security. It's like buying a life raft that dissolves in salt water.
Okay, so that covers the ownership aspect, the you don't really own it argument. But there's another layer here that we touched on in the intro, the digital panopticon.
Yes, this is where we move from the risk of loss to the certainty of surveillance.
Now, the skeptic puts his hand up again. Wait a minute, he says. Crypto is anonymous. That's why criminals use it. That's why the government hates it. If I put my silver on the blockchain, isn't that more private than buying it with a credit card from a dealer?
That is one of the greatest and most persistent myths in the financial world.
Yeah.
The idea that public blockchains are private. It's a fairy tale that Wall Street is very, very happy to let you believe.
Explain that, because people really do believe Bitcoin and these other chains are anonymous.
They are pseudonymous, not anonymous. But let's look at the specific architecture of these RWA tokens. These aren't launching on privacy coins like Monero. They're launching on public transparent ledgers, things like Ethereum, or more likely proprietary corporate blockchains.
Okay.
What is a blockchain by its very definition?
It's a ledger, a list of transactions.
It is an immutable, distributed public ledger. Let's break that down. Immutable means it can never be erased. Public means anyone with an internet connection can see it.
So every transaction is recorded forever.
Forever. Now, go back to episode 130, where we talk about the shadow economy. We called physical silver ghost money. Why did we call it that?
Because it leaves no metadata. If I take a silver coin and hand it to you to buy a used lawnmower from your garage sale, there is no digital footprint. No server records it. No bank sees it. It's a ghost.
Exactly. It completely bypasses the surveillance state. It is the last refuge of private commerce. Now, what happens when you tokenize that silver?
You bring the ghost into the machine.
You don't just bring it in, you tag it for them.
Yeah.
To buy a compliant RWA token from an issuer like BlackRock or any major financial institution, what's the first thing you have to do?
KYC-AML.
Know your customer. Anti-money laundering, meaning I have to upload my passport, my face scan, my social security number, my utility bill.
Right. So now your digital identity, your name, your face, your tax ID is cryptographically linked to that wallet address. And that wallet address holds your silver token.
Which means the issuer, and by extension the IRS and the government, knows exactly how much you have.
They know exactly how much you have. They know exactly when you bought it. They know exactly who you transferred it to. And they know it all in real time.
It's a surveillance ledger.
It is the ultimate surveillance tool. I mean, imagine a silver bar wrapped in a glowing blue digital chain that is connected directly to a server at the IRS. That is what a tokenized asset is.
And it's a permanent record. You can't delete it. It's there for good.
So Wall Street is basically saying, hey, bring us your untraceable private wealth, and we will voluntarily tag it for the government database for you, for your convenience.
And people are doing it by the millions because they are blinded by the convenience. They're blinded by the crypto hype. They think they are sticking it to the man by buying crypto silver, not realizing they are voluntarily walking into the most sophisticated surveillance apparatus ever built.
They think it's freedom tech, but it's actually the opposite.
Companies like Chainalysis can map your entire financial life based on these tokens. They can see if you sent money to a charity the government doesn't like. They can see if you bought from a source they deem risky. It's a social credit system in the making.
Digital handcuffs. That's the visual that comes to mind. You think you're freeing your asset from its physical prison, but you're actually handcuffing it to your permanent record.
And it's not just about taxes, let's be clear. It's about the death of financial privacy. If you believe that financial privacy is a fundamental human right, which I absolutely do, then Tokenizing physical assets is a direct attack on that right.
You are destroying the ghost quality of the money.
You are turning a private asset into a public broadcast.
This leads us directly into the next danger zone, the really scary part. Because if they can see it,
They can freeze it.
Section 4, the freeze. This is where the technology goes from watching you to controlling you.
This is the part that keeps me up at night. This is the real trapdoor. We need to talk about smart contracts.
Sounds intelligent. Benign, even.
It sounds benign. A smart contract is just code. It's a program that executes automatically when certain conditions are met. But in the context of RWA, these smart contracts are managed by the issuers. They're programmable money. And hidden inside that code are functions that you, the user, cannot control.
Okay, so the skeptic says, so what? I can still sell my token in a millisecond. That's the benefit, liquidity. If I see the market crashing, I hit sell and I'm out. With physical silver, I'm stuck with it until the coin shop opens.
You can sell it in a millisecond if the smart contract allows you to. But let's play out a scenario. Let's say the government decides to enact capital controls. Maybe the dollar is crashing, and they want to stop people from fleeing into precious metals.
Like 1933 when FDR confiscated gold. But back then, they had to physically come and get it, or people had to voluntarily turn it in. It was messy.
Yes, exactly. In 1933, confiscation was hard. It required physical compliance. Many people just hid their gold. They buried it in the backyard. The government couldn't magically make it disappear from their basements. They couldn't press a button in Washington and empty a safe in Idaho.
But with a token.
With a token, they don't need to send agents to your house. They don't need to raid your safe. They just call the custodian. Or, even easier, they send an automated order to the blockchain issuer system. The order is simple. Blacklist this wallet address.
Blacklist. That is a specific function in the code.
Yes, most RWA tokens, like the big stablecoins, USDC, and other compliant assets, have a blacklist or freeze function written directly into the smart contract. The issuer holds an admin key.
And then what happens? I open my phone, I look at my wallet.
You see your tokens. The balance still says 1,000 silver tokens. You feel rich. But then you try to send them to another wallet.
The transaction failed.
You try to sell them on an exchange. Error. Wallet blacklisted. You try to redeem them for the physical metal.
Account suspended.
In a millisecond.
In a single millisecond.
Your wealth hasn't been confiscated in the sense that they took it. It has been frozen in place. It has been rendered completely useless to you. You have been turned into a digital serf.
If they can freeze the token, you don't own the metal. That mantra just keeps coming back again and again.
It is the only mantra that matters in this new world. We are moving into an era of programmable assets. They can program the rules of your money. Maybe they program it so you can't sell more than a certain amount per day.
Or they program it so you can't send it to certain countries.
Or maybe they program it so it expires if you don't spend it within a month to stimulate the economy.
That sounds a lot like
CBDCs, central bank digital currencies.
We're bridging to the end game now, Section 5.
This is where we connect all the dots to the bigger picture. RWA tokenization is not the end game. It is the training wheels for CBDCs.
How so? What's the connection?
Because it builds the infrastructure. It gets the entire population used to the idea of digital ownership and wallets and tokens. It normalizes the idea that your physical wealth should live on a ledger that is controlled by the state or its corporate partners.
So it's a behavioral conditioning program.
It's a massive behavioral conditioning program. And eventually, these RWA tokens, your tokenized silver, your tokenized real estate, they will be the collateral in the CBDC system.
And they will only be tradable for CBDCs.
Exactly. You won't be able to cash out into physical cash because physical cash will be gone. It will be phased out. You will only be able to swap your programmable silver token for programmable digital dollars.
You are trading physical autonomy for inclusion in a digital control grid.
Yeah, it's a closed loop. It is a digital cage.
And once you are in it, there is no exit.
There is no exit. Because remember, to get out of the token and back into the physical metal, you have to redeem it. And redemption is a privilege, not a right, when you are dealing with these custodians during a crisis.
That's such a key point. Redemption is a privilege. The skeptic might say, but the website says I can redeem for physical bars anytime I want.
Sure it does. Read the fine print. Subject to availability, subject to verification periods, subject to force majeure clauses. Read the terms of service. In a crisis, when everyone wants their metal at the same time, the redemption window will slam shut.
A bank run, but for metal.
It's a bank run on the vault.
Oh.
And you will be left holding the valet ticket while the valet drives your Lamborghini to Mexico.
Darkly. That's a vivid image. Okay, so let's look at who isn't falling for this, because usually when there's a trap this big, the smart money avoids it. What is the verified class doing?
The smart money, the ultra-high net worth individuals, the family offices who have preserved wealth for generations, they are not tokenizing their insurance policies.
They aren't.
No. They might play with crypto for speculation. They might buy some Bitcoin. But their core physical holding, their apocalypse insurance, that sits in private, non-bank vaults, in fully allocated storage, often in legal jurisdictions outside of their primary residence.
They want distance.
They want distance between their wealth and the digital grid. They want layers of protection. They understand the difference between the valet ticket and the car.
They refuse to digitize the one thing that keeps them safe from the digital collapse.
They know that if the lights go out, the person with the physical key is the king, and the person with the password is a pauper.
Speaking of Bitcoin, we should probably clarify something here, because we've been bashing tokens, but a lot of our listeners own Bitcoin. How is this different? Is Bitcoin also a trap?
It is a fundamental difference. And the source material makes this distinction very, very clearly. Bitcoin is a digital bearer asset.
Meaning
There is no physical counterpart. The Bitcoin is the asset. When you hold the private keys in your own wallet, you own the Bitcoin. There is no Bitcoin bar in a vault somewhere backing it. It is native to the digital realm.
So there's no counterparty risk in terms of a custodian holding the real thing that backs it.
Exactly. Bitcoin relies on the network, yes. But it doesn't rely on BlackRock holding a bar of gold for you. It relies on math, not trust. Tokenized silver is a digital liability pretending to be a physical asset. It is a derivative. It is a copy.
Bitcoin is the original.
Bitcoin is the original. Do not confuse the two.
That's a crucial distinction. Bitcoin is valid as a digital asset because it is native. Tokenized silver is a fake representation of a physical asset.
Correct. One is a native species. The other is a costume, a dangerous costume.
Wow. Okay, we have covered a lot of ground here. We've gone from the glossy marketing of BlackRock to the dark reality of the surveillance state. We've dismantled the valet ticket. We've exposed the freeze function.
We've opened the file, and hopefully we've scared a few people into checking their holdings and reading their terms of service.
So let's try to bring this home. Let's do a final sweep. The year is 2026. This technology is everywhere. The pressure to upgrade your assets is immense. What is the final provocation for our listener?
The final provocation is the 2026 filter. You have to look at every single financial product offered to you through this one simple filter. Does this increase my autonomy, or does it increase their control?
Simple question. Complicated answer sometimes.
Not that complicated with RWA. The answer is almost always. It increases their control. It moves your asset from your jurisdiction, from your safe, to theirs.
I have to admit, as the skeptic who started this whole conversation, fascinated by the efficiency just isn't worth it. I'd rather drive to the coin shop. I'd rather have the heavy, inconvenient safe in the basement. Because if the digital lights go out or if the digital eye turns its gaze on me, I want the thing that's real.
You want the ghost.
I want the ghosts.
My final warning is this. Reject the valet ticket. Understand that in a crisis, the redemption queue is a myth. It will be closed. And protect the ghost. Physical metal is one of the last true defenses we have against the digital panopticon. Do not voluntarily digitize your privacy.
It's like we're watching a magic trick. They are waving the shiny token in one hand so you don't notice them shackling your other hand to the server.
Exactly. Don't fall for the sleight of hand. Look at what the other hand is doing.
I have a question for you, listening right now. Would you do it? Would you trade your physical silver coins for digital silver tokens if it meant zero fees? If it meant instant trading 24/7? Is the convenience worth the risk that your wallet could be frozen with a single command?
It's the ultimate test of your conviction. Are you an investor or are you an owner? There's a big difference.
And hey, if you are sitting there thinking, okay, I get it, keep the physical, but how do I sell it if I need to without triggering all these alarms? Well, you need to verify your sources. Check out our deep dive on the private sale trap, episode 131. There are ways to navigate this, but you have to be smart about it.
Knowledge is the only leverage you have left.
Absolutely. Digitizing physical wealth is a Trojan horse. If they can freeze the token, you don't own the metal.
Couldn't have said it better myself. The future belongs to the owners.
Stay safe out there.
Stay private.